What's up, YouTube? So it's G and I'm back with another video, and today I just wanted to touch on a subject that not many people really talk about. I want to talk about the homeless community. Being a former member of the homeless community, I want to speak on their behalf, and I just want to clear the air, I guess, about a few things. Police sirens. Oh, not police, ambulance sirens. But yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the homeless community and what goes on in the homeless community, and also clear up the fact that not everybody that's homeless is a drug dealer, or a criminal. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Like, a lot of people have this stereotype that a lot of people that live on the streets are, criminals or drug addicts or, stuff like that. So what I want to say really is that sometimes, you go through things in your life and you make choices and things happen, and and there's consequences to your actions sometimes. And sometimes that results in you having to live on the street. I was in an instant of predicament where things weren't going well. It was really hard to get a job, me and my husband. And I've spent, I want to say, maybe like a quarter of my adult life living on the street, in and out of hotel rooms, shelters. So yeah, living on the streets, like, you do come across people who are drug addicts, or they have been, neglected by their family because maybe they're gay, and they don't want them around, and so they put them out and they have nowhere else to go. Depending on the area that you're in, sometimes there aren't shelters, that have space that are available, and then some shelters won't take you if you are on drugs. You would have to be sober going in, and some people don't want to do that, which is understandable. That's your choice. And then you have people on the streets who are there because they want to be. And I know that sounds crazy, but nomadic, I want to say, like, being a nomad, it's kind of become like a lifestyle in a way. Like, it's kind of trending. I know when I was on the streets, I had actually had a job at this pizza place. And one of my coworkers, he asked me, oh, here comes my husband. So I had to cut the video because my husband didn't want to be in the video. But I'm going to introduce him to you guys later on, just not today. So what was I saying? Yeah, so I was working at a pizza place, and one of my coworkers had asked me, he was like, hey, why do you have a wagon with you or whatever? Because my husband and I, whenever we were out on the street the last time, we had this wagon, and he would just pull it, and it carried all of our stuff. So that way, we didn't really have to carry anything. And at night, we would sleep, like, sitting on top of the wagon, so that, if someone tried to come up while we were sleeping, if they were trying to steal something, they had to move us in order to get to our stuff. So yeah, but he said, why do you have this wagon? And I told him, I was like, well, I'm homeless. This is like everything I own on me. And he was like, oh, so you're like kind of like a nomad. And I was like, yeah, I guess in a way. And he said, that's really cool, because me and my friends, we want to take our truck and we want to go out, and camp and see what it feels like to be homeless. And I'm like, that's kind of like crazy. Like, that's really crazy. Like, that homelessness is like trending in a sense. You know what I mean? And that was like the first time I had ever heard anyone actually say anything to me about it. I'm like, you want to know what it's like to be homeless? Like, really? But I guess I can understand that now, because in a sense, I feel like I feel like people should experience it in their own way so that they can better understand what people on the streets really go through. Like, it's hard. It's really hard out there. Like, you're exposed to the elements on a constant day-to-day basis. Sometimes you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. You know, you have to constantly move around because there's really nowhere that you can legally be. You know, you're always trespassing. Which is why a lot of homeless people get, you know, arrested and things of that nature. Because and a lot of people, they don't want to go to a shelter, and I can understand that because it's really hard being in a shelter. They have strict rules. You know, you can't eat what you want. If you are an addict, you know, you can't take any drugs. Like, you can't have company. I know what I struggled with the most being in a shelter was the fact that I couldn't see my husband whenever I wanted to. Like, he was on the other side of, like, the property in the men's shelter, and I was in the women's shelter, of course. So I could only see him during certain times of the day. I couldn't be on the property, period. If we were together, if we were on the property together, like, I couldn't talk to him. I had to basically, like, ignore him. So that was something that was, like, really hard for me to do. But yeah, so if anybody out there is watching this and you're homeless and you're living on the street, find you a community. Because in some places, what I've noticed, and up north, if you're up north, it's a little different than down south. Down south, in Asheville, North Carolina, that was the last place that I was where we were homeless. Asheville, North Carolina. Downtown Asheville has one of the largest homeless communities I've ever seen. And in a sense, it's kind of cool because, you know, you all sit around at the park, and on, I think it's Friday, every Fridays, I think 7, something like that, they have like drum circles, you know, so the whole community's there and everybody gets together, and people come around with like this. There's this lady, and every morning at like 7 or 6 in the morning, she comes around and she hands out coffee and like fruit and stuff to all the people who are like sleeping in the park because they had nowhere else to go that night. And so that's really cool. Like, I've met more godly people being on the streets than I've met like godly people staying in a shelter, you know, or at a church, or even, you know, in my everyday life. Like, people are so giving if you are in the right community. So just know that you guys aren't alone, and everything's gonna be okay. You just gotta find a way to move, you know. You gotta be aware of your surroundings constantly, and have the intuition to know, like, is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word. I guess maybe discernment, which means judgment. So you have to have good judgment, you know, in knowing like who to trust and who not to trust, where to go and where not to go. You know, if you get a feeling like, hey, maybe we shouldn't stay here tonight, don't stay there. Go somewhere else. But that's all that I really have to say on this. This was a really quick vlog. If you haven't, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and leave a comment and tell me what you guys think. If you have any questions about anything, I have some more tips on, you know, what you can do when you're living on the streets. So if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask them down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.